Hey everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for the invite. Happy to be here, and hopefully this talk will leave you with some nuggets to think about for not just today, but for the next few years. So the name of the talk is Go Where You're Not Supposed to Be. So again, my name is Paul. I'm an entrepreneur. I was born in the Philippines. I grew up in California, graduated from UC Berkeley, and have spent basically my entire life after college working in startups, working in technology, or building startups. My last job was in 2007 when I worked at Google. And since then, I've gone on to found a couple companies, Open Access BPO, which was a pioneering outsourcing company, Kalibrr, which is a recruitment platform with 6 million users, primarily in the Philippines and Indonesia, and have also co-founded a couple other companies in the Philippines. And I generally like to start companies that are double bottom line businesses. Businesses where you can make a lot of money, but you can also make a lot of impact. And I feel the work that I do at Kalibrr truly is a double bottom line business. So Kalibrr started in 2013, and it's been a crazy journey, to be here now. 9 out of 10 startups fail. Even the ones that do raise significant money, there's still a high likelihood of failure. So by being here, being still alive, we've already beaten the odds. We were the first company in Southeast Asia to get into Y Combinator. We're the third largest job platform in Southeast Asia behind LinkedIn, JobStreet. We have thousands of customers, not just in Southeast Asia, but all over the world. We raised millions of dollars in venture capital. We're profitable. And I think the most important thing is we've impacted hundreds of thousands of lives. People use our platform to find meaningful opportunities. And I think we've helped hundreds of thousands of people do that. And we've helped thousands of businesses find the talent they need to grow their businesses. So we feel we've really made an impact with the work that we do at Kalibrr. Kalibrr's also had a lot of failure. I've lost co-founders. I've lost investors. I've lost customers. I've lost my hair. I've lost many things in this journey. But that point I made earlier around impact is one of the reasons why we fight so hard to build and scale Kalibrr, because of the fact that maybe if we weren't here, there would be a lot of people who would not be at the jobs or opportunities that they have today that are maybe changing their lives. I get asked this question a lot. Why are you an entrepreneur? And how do you become an entrepreneur? I'm an entrepreneur because I like to solve problems. If you love solving problems, you love solving complex problems, there's no better space than entrepreneurship. And the how is maybe what I will talk about over the next few slides, in terms of maybe what advice would I give myself, after now being an entrepreneur for over a decade, working in startups, working with some of the smartest people in the world. What advice would I give myself if I was in the audience today? So the first one, if you want to do a startup, is to join a startup. It's very rare to see, people who are fresh out of college become successful at their first startup or company. The Mark Zuckerbergs are the outliers of the world. The average age of a successful entrepreneur is actually about 42, 43 years old. I wouldn't be doing Kalibrr today if I had not joined a startup after graduating from college and spending 2.5 years there, working with a 27-year-old CEO, learning how to build product, learning about digital marketing, learning about how startups function. That was an invaluable experience that gave me the DNA that allowed me to inject that DNA in not just Kalibrr, but any startup that I'm involved in. Second, I think you guys are already part of a great network here at Xavier, but your network is literally your net worth. Who you spend time with, what you guys talk about. Do you guys talk about girls or boys? Or do you guys talk about ideas of the future? The people you hang out with ultimately becomes your network, and this network can become your team. They can become your co-founders. They can become your investors. They can become your partners. So really think about who you spend time with, and if these are people that are inspiring you, challenging you, and ultimately motivating you to do something great with yourself and with your time. By the time I started Kalibrr, I was about, I think, 29 years old when I started Kalibrr. I had developed some pretty good domain expertise in terms of startups and entrepreneurship, right? And I think this is a big piece of advice that I think people always ask, how do you come up with the idea? The way you come up with a great idea is you find a problem that you're really passionate about, and you develop a PhD level understanding of that problem. What do PhDs do? They come up with a new theory, right? They study an area, they spend years doing it, and then they come up with a theory, their thesis. What a startup is. It's a thesis, right? It's the theory. It's an idea that ultimately needs to be validated. And rather than professors validating it, who validates it? It's the market. So find an area, find a problem that you want to go deep in and become a domain expert to the point where you know about it more than almost anyone. And because you know about that space more than anyone, you know the problems, and you're probably going to be the one that comes up with that aha, brilliant idea. Be patient. When I started Kalibrr, I thought that we would have the Instagram exit success story, work on it for a couple of years, get bought by Facebook for $1 billion, chill after that. It's been about 9 years. And it really does take a long time to build something great. I often see young people who are very impatient, young people that work with me. They want to be promoted immediately. They want, they want to grow, but they really haven't mastered anything yet. And you live in an instant world where your friends are available instantly online, your music is available instantly. There's almost no latency to anything. The thing that has a lot of latency is success. That just takes time, patience, old-fashioned hard work. So be patient. At some point in your life, right, you need to be able to identify when to take a calculated risk. The breakthroughs I've had in my life have been when I've taken calculated risks and bets on myself. I left Google at the age of 24 in 2007 when Google only had 8,000 employees. Google today, I think, has 300,000 or 400,000 employees. They're a massive company now. It was a massive risk to leave Google at that time. I could have easily failed. Probably should have failed. But I thought, if I failed, I'm going to fail while I'm young, and I'm young enough to go back to Google. If I had not taken that risk, I wouldn't be here speaking to you guys today. It would not have created the opportunities that have been presented to myself because I've taken all sorts of calculated risks throughout my life. Another example is when I started my own BPO, working with some of the best tech companies in the Valley here in Manila. And I left it after 5 years because I saw that technology startups started in the Valley was emerging in Southeast Asia. So I took a risk, started Kalibrr, and here I am today. Doesn't mean that all risks will pan out, but you do have to identify when to take those risks so that you can unlock these levels of life that are only possible with some risk taking. With risk taking, you have to be able to tolerate failure. You know, that there's a saying that startups succeed for 2 reasons. The first reason is timing, right? You're at the right place, right time, right idea. Problem with timing is you can't time it. It's only in hindsight that you can say, oh, that I started at the right time. I feel I've started my BPO, Kalibrr, other companies at the right time, but it's too early to tell. The second thing that determines startup success is grit, resilience, your ability to overcome obstacle after obstacle, rejection after rejection, failure after failure. To me, it's just a part of my DNA now. I enjoy obstacles. Failure is part of the process. I know how to navigate it because it's happened so frequently, and it's just part of the journey as an entrepreneur. So if you've never really experienced failure in your life, right, be ready for it when you do a startup, because it's a journey fraught with failure and frustration. But it's also a journey that gives a lot of meaning to life when you can succeed. You know, I'm 39 now, no longer a young man. And I now think of my life in decades. Decades because most people, when they set goals, like, oh, I want to be successful in 2 years, you know, I want to have my exit in 4 years. Good things take time. They take a long time. They're a little bit slower in the Philippines as well. But if you set a decade-long time frame for any goal, I'm pretty sure you will have enough runway and enough time to make that goal a reality. They have a saying in Y Combinator: the years are long, but the decades are short. Right? The years are long, but the decades are short. You guys are at the end of your teen decade, soon entering your 20s. What do you want your 20s to be about? I think this is probably one of the biggest ones. In life, you're going to be presented with these waves, these trends, these tsunamis. What I've chosen to do is find these trends, find these tsunamis, find these waves, and build a surfboard and ride it. The first wave that I rode was, you know, Web 2.0 in Silicon Valley in 2004, at the beginning of the internet boom. The second wave I rode was the BPO boom in the Philippines. It was a $6 billion a year industry, it became a $40 billion a year industry today. The third wave I rode is the technology and internet boom in Southeast Asia. So you don't want to go against the current. It's so much easier to run downhill when the market and the forces are working with you rather than against you. So find these waves, find these trends, study them closely, and write them, because these are the ones that can really change your life. So, for you guys, think about your upcoming decade, right? You guys are in high school, you're going to be entering college soon, right? It's going to be a pivotal time in your life. The 20s are the only time in your life where you have no responsibility. Don't have kids, you're not married, I think. You don't have a lot of responsibilities, right? You're just there and you have a lot of free time. Are you going to Netflix and chill? Or are you going to use that time to turn your dreams into reality? So what would I do if I was in my 20s? What would I do if I was in my teens? What wave or trend would I ride today? It's a wave and trend I'm riding right now, in even entering my 40s. This is where I'm going to spend the next decade of my life. And, as you go down this journey, I think my last piece of advice is, when you build a business that has an impact in people's lives, there's no better company to wake up to and work for every day. So go down this journey, be genuine, be nice, make a difference, right? And protect your reputation at all costs. That's the only thing that you have one of. You can spend a decade building it. One mistake can destroy it. So take care of it. Do good. Karma will reward you 10x for what you do. Thank you guys, and have a great afternoon.